A business deal happening far away from any golf course could reshape the next chapter of professional golf. According to a new Bloomberg report, private equity giant BC Partners is leading funding talks with LIV Golf. At the same time, BC Partners also has an investment in GSE Worldwide, the agency that represents Bryson DeChambeau. This overlap between an investor and a player's own representation has placed DeChambeau at the center of a conversation that goes beyond golf swings and scorecards, and into the business side of the sport that most fans rarely see discussed in public. To understand why this detail matters so much, it helps to look back at how Bryson DeChambeau arrived at this point in his career. How the story began. When Bryson DeChambeau left the PGA Tour for LIV Golf, it shocked the golf world. His departure was one of the most talked about transitions in recent golf history, arriving at a time when the sport itself was undergoing a dramatic split between two competing systems. Some fans supported his decision, viewing it as a bold move toward a new era of competitive golf. Others criticized it, arguing that he was walking away from decades of tradition tied to the PGA Tour. Despite the mixed reactions, one thing was certain: everyone was talking about Bryson. Since joining LIV Golf, he has continued to win tournaments, entertain fans with his incredible driving distance, and build one of golf's biggest YouTube audiences. His combination of competitive success and public visibility has made him one of the most recognizable figures in the sport, regardless of which tour a fan happens to follow. He has not simply competed in LIV Golf events, he has actively shaped how the league is perceived by casual sports fans who may never watch a full round of golf but still encounter his content online. This visibility is not incidental. It is the direct result of a deliberate approach DeChambeau has taken since his move, one that blends competitive golf with content creation, science-based experimentation, and long-form video explanations of his methods. That approach has built an audience that extends well beyond traditional golf media, and it is precisely this audience, combined with his competitive record, that makes every decision he makes incredibly important to those watching the sport's business dealings unfold. The new development. Now comes the latest twist in this ongoing story. According to Bloomberg, BC Partners is leading discussions about investing in LIV Golf. This is not simply another headline circulating among golf commentators. If completed, outside investment could help shape the league's next phase of growth, potentially altering how LIV Golf operates, expands, and competes for talent going forward. Private equity investment in professional sports leagues is not a new phenomenon. Firms like BC Partners typically seek returns by improving the operational efficiency, media reach, and long-term valuation of the properties they invest in. For a relatively young league like LIV Golf, founded in 2021, this kind of capital injection could provide resources for further international expansion, broadcast deals, or player contracts. Then fans noticed something else. BC Partners also has an investment in GSE Worldwide, the sports agency that represents Bryson DeChambeau. That connection immediately fueled discussion across the golf community. On social media and golf forums, commentators began asking whether an investor's financial ties to both the league and a top player's agency could create any form of influence over future contract negotiations. But it is important to separate fact from speculation. There is currently no public evidence that this business relationship will influence Bryson's contract decision. BC Partners has not issued any statement suggesting that its position in GSE Worldwide affects, or is intended to affect, its potential investment discussions with LIV Golf. No official confirmation has linked the two dealings beyond the fact that both exist simultaneously. Even so, the timing has made this one of the most talked about stories in golf. The overlapping presence of a single investment firm across two connected business relationships, at a moment when LIV Golf is reportedly seeking new capital, is enough to generate widespread attention, even without confirmed evidence of any direct influence. Understanding the companies involved. BC Partners is a private equity firm with a long history of investments across multiple industries, including sports, media, and entertainment. Firms of this size typically manage large investment portfolios spanning many sectors, meaning overlapping stakes in companies that are loosely connected to one another are not unusual in the broader private equity world. This is a structural reality of how major investment firms operate, rather than evidence of any coordinated strategy specific to golf. GSE Worldwide is a sports and entertainment agency representing athletes and personalities across multiple sports, including golf. Agencies like GSE Worldwide negotiate contracts, sponsorships, and media deals on behalf of their clients, meaning any financial relationship an agency has with outside investors could, in theory, become a point of interest whenever that agency's clients are involved in high-profile negotiations, such as tour or league contracts. LIV Golf itself was established with significant financial backing from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. Since its founding, the league has pursued a business model built around large contracts for top players, team-based competition formats, and global tournament locations. Reports of additional private equity interest, such as the discussions involving BC Partners, would represent a new phase in the league's financial structure, moving beyond its original sole backer toward a broader group of investors. Why Bryson matters. LIV Golf has many talented players. Rosters across the league include multiple major champions, former world number ones, and internationally recognized competitors. But very few have Bryson's combination of talent, personality, and global reach. He's a major champion, having won the US Open on more than one occasion during his career. He is a fan favorite among a wide segment of golf viewers, and a social media star whose content draws attention from audiences well outside the traditional golf viewership. He is also one of the biggest attractions whenever he tees it up, drawing spectators and viewers specifically to watch his performance, particularly given his approach to distance off the tee, which has become one of his signature traits in professional golf. For any golf league, players like Bryson are not just competitors, they are major assets whose presence affects broadcast interest, ticket sales, and overall public engagement with events. This is precisely why fans are paying such close attention to every report about his future. Any development connected to his contract, his representation, or the league's ownership structure carries weight far beyond a single player's career, because his visibility is closely tied to how the league itself is perceived by the public. His role within LIV Golf also extends into areas beyond competition. DeChambeau has been involved in various promotional and media initiatives connected to the league, further embedding his public profile within the league's overall marketing efforts. This makes any uncertainty about his long-term commitment to LIV Golf a matter of interest not just to fans, but to anyone evaluating the league's stability as a business. The broader context of private equity in golf. The discussions involving BC Partners are not occurring in isolation. Professional golf as a whole has been undergoing significant structural changes since the emergence of LIV Golf in 2021. The PGA Tour itself announced a framework agreement in 2023 with the Public Investment Fund and the DP World Tour, aiming to unify competing golf entities under a broader commercial structure. That agreement has continued to evolve, with ongoing negotiations reported throughout 2024 and into 2025 and 2026. Against this backdrop, additional private equity interest in LIV Golf specifically would represent another layer in golf's broader consolidation and investment story. Private equity firms have shown increasing interest in sports properties generally, viewing media rights, sponsorship potential, and international audience growth as attractive long-term investment opportunities. Golf, with its global following and connections to lucrative sponsorship categories, fits within this broader trend of institutional investors entering sports business. Whether BC Partners' discussions with LIV Golf result in a finalized deal remains to be seen. Private equity negotiations often take months, sometimes longer, before any agreement becomes final, and many potential deals reported in the media are altered or abandoned entirely before completion. The Bloomberg report reflects discussions currently taking place, not a confirmed transaction. What could happen next? Right now, several outcomes remain possible. Bryson could stay with LIV Golf, continuing under his existing arrangement without any changes tied to the reported investment discussions. Contract negotiations could continue, potentially incorporating new terms depending on how the league's ownership or investment structure evolves. New investment could help strengthen the league's future, providing additional resources for tournament operations, player contracts, and broadcast expansion. Or new developments could emerge that nobody expects, given how quickly reports and negotiations in professional sports business can shift. At this stage, none of these possibilities has been confirmed. Until official announcements are made, they remain exactly that, possibilities based on reporting rather than finalized agreements. This distinction matters, particularly in an environment where speculation about player contracts and league finances tends to spread quickly across social media and golf commentary channels. That is why it is important not to confuse online rumors with verified information. Reports from established financial media outlets like Bloomberg carry weight because of their sourcing standards, but even well-sourced reports describe ongoing discussions rather than completed deals. Fans and commentators drawing conclusions about Bryson's future contract terms, or about any influence BC partners might have over those terms, are doing so without confirmed evidence connecting the two. The stakes for LIV Golf. For LIV Golf, securing additional private equity investment would mark a significant milestone in its ongoing effort to establish itself as a stable, long-term fixture in professional golf. Since its founding, the league has faced questions about its financial sustainability, given the scale of its player contracts and event costs relative to its current revenue streams, including broadcast deals and sponsorships. Diversifying its investor base beyond the public investment fund could address some of these sustainability questions, provided any deal with a firm like BC Partners moves forward on terms acceptable to all parties involved. At the same time, bringing in a new investor with existing ties to a player agency representing one of the league's most prominent golfers introduces a layer of complexity that the league's leadership will need to navigate carefully. Even without confirmed evidence of improper influence, the appearance of overlapping financial interests can affect public perception, particularly in a sport where transparency around player contracts and league finances has already been a point of scrutiny since LIV Golf's founding. Bryson's position within these discussions. DeChambeau's own contract status with LIV Golf has not been publicly detailed in connection with the reported BC Partners discussions. His representation by GSE Worldwide predates the reported investment talks, meaning the current situation reflects a pre-existing business relationship rather than a new arrangement created specifically in response to the funding discussions. Golf agencies commonly represent numerous athletes across a portfolio, and it is standard practice for agencies to receive investment or financial backing from outside firms as part of their own business operations. This means the presence of BC Partners within GSE Worldwide's ownership or investment structure does not, by itself, indicate any unusual arrangement specific to Bryson DeChambeau. The attention this story has received stems primarily from the coincidental timing of the LIV Golf funding talks becoming public knowledge at the same time as this pre-existing connection was noticed by golf commentators and fans. Historical parallels in sports business. Instances of overlapping investor interests across different entities within the same sport are not unique to golf. Similar situations have occurred in other professional sports leagues where investment firms hold stakes across multiple connected businesses, including team ownership groups, media rights holders, and athlete representation agencies. In most previously reported cases, sports leagues and their governing bodies have implemented disclosure requirements or conflict of interest policies specifically designed to address these overlapping relationships when they arise. Whether LIV Golf has, or will implement, any specific policy addressing this particular overlap between BC Partners' potential investment and its existing stake in GSE Worldwide has not been publicly disclosed as of this report. This remains one of the open questions surrounding the story, alongside the larger question of whether the investment discussions themselves will ultimately result in a finalized deal. Looking ahead, Bryson DeChambeau remains one of the biggest names in professional golf. LIV Golf continues working toward its next chapter, a chapter that may or may not include new capital from BC Partners depending on how these reported discussions progress in the coming months. The reported funding talks have added another layer of intrigue to an already evolving story about the league's financial structure and its relationship with its top players. Golf's broader business landscape continues to shift as the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and LIV Golf work through their own separate negotiations regarding a potential unified structure for professional golf. Any developments involving BC Partners and LIV Golf will likely be viewed within this larger context, given how closely connected the finances and governance of these organizations have become since 2023. Whether Bryson signs a new deal, continues under his current terms, or any other outcome unfolds, his situation will likely remain a point of reference for how outside investment interacts with player representation in professional golf. For now, the reported discussions between BC Partners and LIV Golf remain just that, reported discussions, without a finalized agreement or official statement confirming how, if at all, they might affect Bryson DeChambeau's existing arrangement with the league.